Oh, let's see, where were we? Last time I think, oh yes, I just got it running and kind of set up and everything and took a couple of drives in it and recorded those. Ever since then I've put some miles on it, I got the speedometer working, yay! Maybe I did that in the last video, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that was a little bit of a chore. I ended up having to, there's a little angle drive down on the transmission, and I ended up having to get a new one because my repair to the one just broke again, and speedometer was the actual culprit, and ordered a new one, and when I got it, it didn't fit, and so I gutted that one, and I gutted my old one, and I put the new guts in the old housing, and off we went. But I've just basically been driving it and really enjoying it. Fiddled with the ride height a little bit, and I learned something about them that I didn't realize, which we'll take a look at here. And see this damage here to the edge of the wheel well. That happens just by pulling into my driveway. Actually, the car's on quite an angle, and the wheel is turned, and it catches the lip and tore it up. So I've got to patch that a little bit better. Right now it's just stuck back into place, but I need to patch it and paint it, give that a slightly better look. That's unfortunate. But it's been an absolute joy to drive. I can't tell you in so many words how much fun this car is, but it is a lot of fun. And one other major thing that's changed is that steering wheel. That is from an S4 Lotus Elan. It's slightly smaller in diameter, I think about 13.5 or 14 inches compared to the 15-inch original. And the rim is a little bit thicker. And the overall frame of the steering wheel, the structure of it, is stiffer. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but out on the road, in practice, actually turning the front wheels with that tool is transformative. It's a very, very big difference, and a very, very pleasant one. It really makes it much more enjoyable to drive this car. It's amazing. And I mean, it was fun before, and now it's more fun. More responsive, a little bit more live feeling. It's great. I feel more connected. It's great. I love it. So next up, which is under the hood, is, and this may be one of the last things I do to this car before I park it for the winter and change the engine. But there's a little tube that runs between the cylinder head and the block. They call it a breather, but I think of it as a drain. Here it is. So this is it, and this end sticks into the bottom of the cylinder head. Now there's a part of the head that sticks out on this side of the motor in the back, and the oil that collects in the head drains down through this and down through here into a breather that's in the block. So this is squeezed in between the head and the block. Technically, you should take the cylinder head off to replace this, but I'm going to finagle it in there. But the one in my car is just looking like a sieve. And of course, all this oil going up into the cylinder head, draining back down through this, is leaking down the side of the motor and making a heck of a mess. So for once, I'm going to try and document this a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and show you every single step, but the big stuff. I'm not going to try and do it with the carbs on the car, so the carbs are going to come off, and then I'll give me tremendous access to this, and I'll just take a couple of pictures or whatever along the way, and do a little bit of documentation of repairs. Okay, battery's disconnected, the hood is off, and I have easy access. One of the nice things about the lift is that it lets me lean in over the car at a less uncomfortable angle because I can lift it. This is a very low car and I can lift it up a little bit on the lift, so that's very nice. So next what we're going to do is we're going to take the airbox off, disconnect the fuel lines here, disconnect the choke cable, throttle cable, get all that stuff out of the way, and then we're going to take the carbs off. There's 4 bolts, nuts up here on studs, and then there's 4 underneath, which are the fun ones, and we'll get those out of our way. So that's what's next. One of the fun things about working on this car is that it's an English car, so you've got, and it's an old English car, so you've got the English size nuts and bolts on many things. However, these are Italian, and therefore they're metric. So I just used a 1/2-inch wrench to take off the airbox, and now I'm going to use a 14mm to work on the carbs, take the fuel lines off. I like this certain kind of cheese, and it comes in these little plastic buckets, and I love them because the cheese is delicious, and I get a nice little parts organizer catcher when I'm finished, so that's really cool. I can just keep one handy as I take these parts off. In they go. This is a very handy tool when installing and removing Weber carburetors on a Lotus Elan. Let's see if we can get a little focus on that. Snap on, very short, 1/2-inch, 1 and 9/16 on the other, and quite thin and narrow end, open end. So Webers are soft mounted onto the intake manifold in order to try and prevent the gasoline in the float chamber from foaming up and causing a lean condition. So this is what's on the bottom, a washer, and then this little spring, which is called a Thackeray washer. Another on the washer on the outside, and then a nylock nut. So those are across the bottom. The reason being that the top ones are different there. That's actually rubber in there in these little cap washers. The springs aren't affected by gasoline, which sometimes leaks out the bottom of these lovely carburetors. And so the springs, the Thackeray washers, work better underneath. And this is the other part of the soft mount. It's called a MISAB plate. Maybe you can read it on there, M-I-S-A-B. And it's just a plate with a O-ring on it, molded into it. And again, it prevents, it's there for us as part of the soft mount. I just saw a video about MGA twin cams, in which the fellow presenting said that MGAs had a terrible reputation for burning valves and burning holes in pistons, and generally running that way, burning up the cylinder head. And they tried all sorts of things, including reducing power output and so forth, and what it turned out to be was fuel foaming in the carburetors and causing a lean condition. Okay, everything's out of the way, and that tube, the drain tube, is right there. So you can see why it's fun to get at. Again, the cylinder head's supposed to come off to take it out, but I'm going to try it this way. I've read some things that folks do it. I'll probably reseal this cover as well. That's where the mechanical fuel pump would be if the car had one, which it doesn't. So I might reseal that while I'm in here. That can actually be done. No, I'll probably do it now if I'm going to do it ever. So that's next. Get that bugger out and get a new one in. Out with the old. It's in surprisingly good shape. I'm sad to say. I was hoping it would be utterly perished and I could say, oh yeah, there's the leak. That's why. I'm going to have to find some other reason. I may have to come up with some sort of sealing goo to put on here, figure out what's what. Anyway, next is trying to trick the new one in. The game I'm going to play is I'm going to heat the thing in boiling water and then fold it as much as I can with a strong pair of pliers and kind of just position it in there and then let it unfold into place. That's the plan anyway. Okay, the cover's back on, the fuel pump cover. I found another spacer on my copious spare parts that came with the car, so that was a very fortuitous thing. So that's ready to go. Everything's cleaned up, and tomorrow I will tackle the drain breather, whatever you want to call it. Well, there it is, it's in. It was a messy job. Didn't go the way I was intending it to go, but it's there. Basically what I did was grab it in the center with a skinny pair of vice grip pliers and just shove it in there from the side, and it was all cockeyed and stuff, and then I fussed the ends in once it was, you know, mostly in place. It wasn't pretty, but it's in. Pliers like these, thin vice grips, long nose, needle nose vice grips, I don't know. Clamped it in the middle and shoved it in. Rough and ready. Okay, everything's bolted back on and reconnected except for the front of the airbox there. Choke cable is in bad shape. I'm going to have to get another one, but right now it's working. A little bit of free play, and then there they go. That's good. Throttle cable's the same way. Just a little bit of free play in there. Oops, going to have to redo that. I got it on the wrong side. Ah, that's better. Throttle cable's on top of the choke cable, so it doesn't pull the chokes every time I hit the gas. See, there's a little bit of free play in there. A little bit of free play in there. We are good to go. Bolt that airbox back on, and I think I will fire it up. Well, there it is. It's that dark colored tube on the left of the picture, and it's dry, and that makes me very happy. So a successful result for that. Unfortunately, the little fuel pump block or blanking plate is seeping a little bit from the bottom, so that'll be another task for another day. But all in all, a successful repair.